88.9 WMWX, Miamitown. 89.1 WKCX, Crittenden. 89.3 WYNS, Waynesville. ClassX, the new breed of rock.
Good morning. ClassX Radio, this is Dr. Dan Francis filling in for the Bulldog. There is so much to talk about today. There's been tears and cheers and all kinds of things, but
How you doing, Dan?
I'm struggling.
You guys surviving?
Last night, I saw several of my friends, and they said, Dan, you going to make it? You going to make it? I know the Reds lost. Are you going to make it? Because they know I am a serious Cincinnati Reds fan.
The answer is no.
No, not a chance. You see, I was there in 72.
Wow.
When? Was it 72? I don't think you were around then.
Yeah. No one here.
It was 1972.
Okay, yeah.
Not even thought of it at that point.
They had a wonderful, Johnny Bench gets up, hits a home run to the opposite field.
Didn't you think Ludwig was going to do it, maybe?
I did, too.
He had two chances.
I know he did.
He had two chances.
I know he did. And he had one earlier in the game. It was just the wrong time because there was nobody on at the time. But, oh, my goodness.
Can't hit with runners in scoring position.
And I know what my friends say to me. My wife was on me last night about, that wasn't Dusty's fault, but yes, it was. I mean, get Latos out of there when you see that they're making such good contact. And how many pitchers do we have in the bullpen that haven't pitched?
Yeah, you got a fresh bullpen. I do agree with that, but I don't pin it all on Dusty.
No, not all on Dusty.
Not even the hit and run. You can second guess that play all you want.
Right.
Where Hannigan, who knows what's going to happen? But it just nothing seemed to be.
Nothing went right.
Yeah, the last 3 games, nothing.
Those 2 plays, the play the shortstop made on just a bullet ball, and then the right field? No, the center fielder caught that one off the ground. Was a bullet.
Yeah. And
we had 2 men on at the time. The paper said anatomy of a collapse, and it gave about 4 pictures. And I wanted to ask the group here which one you thought might have played a part. Trying to steal, you mentioned that. Jay Bruce is tagged out at third. In the early blow was Ace Cueto suffering the oblique strain. And then one of the best defensive third basemen in the baseball, Roland, not handling that high chopper, or Brandon trying to take an extra base in the wild pitch, the first inning of Game 3. Which of those kind of stick out in your mind as being, the one thing that gave you cause?
It's hard to say what the biggest play was. I'm surprised. I mean, the grand slam was huge. You don't give up the grand slam yesterday, and I mean. It's not nearly as bad, but that just made it so hard to come back from.
When you saw, I had an opportunity to go. I got a call for a friend of mine said, let's go to the game, but I just had so much going on I couldn't. When he hit that grand slam, my television went deadly silence.
Oh.
I mean, it was like somebody had killed somebody.
Stuck a pen in a balloon. Yeah.
It was deathly, and they scanned the crowd, and it was like they were just stunned.
Yeah, it was just more of like a shock. Are we really about to lose? I mean, that was when you really thought, okay, we are really going to lose. I mean, when you first kind of get that, because you always think you're gonna win, even down 2-0. I think at that point it was like, we can come. That's
2-0. I was not all that concerned about.
Right. I would like to have the lead, obviously, in that point. But then it's a grand slam, boom, just like
it was.
This is a reality now.
Big hill to climb.
Yep.
I think if I look back on the whole series, what I will remember most, and my wife kept poking at me last night, which is, well, Johnny Cueto didn't pitch, so, and he's our ace. So he would have been up yesterday again. I mean,
that was
huge in this whole piece.
It's definitely tough to overcome when the guy you've depended on all year is
long.
just all of a sudden out, the Roland play was big. Even that whole sequence in that, I think it was Game 4, And it was like a tie game, 1-1 or something when that happened.
Game 3. They just come back. Game 3.
Okay, so it's two.
Homer had pitched unbelievable,
right?
And they just could not pick.
I think was that the top of the 9th inning or
top of the 10th?
Oh, top of the 10th. That's right. Yep. It was the extra inning.
Extra inning game.
The Hannigan lets the pass ball go by. Runners get up to second and third, and then Roland. Yeah, and it's not Roland's fault necessarily. It's really the pass ball. Who knows what would have happened? You don't allow a run that inning.
Exactly. Also, I thought two folks that spoke up after the game that I thought were classy is Zach Cozart. The costly error he made. He had to make just a perfect play. Had it in his hands. Thought he was going to be able to do that. And then Latos, the game's 100% on me.
He owned it, huh?
He owned it. He really did.
You guys are just so down. I hope we can pick you back up.
Are you going to help us here today?
I don't know. Can we help anybody? It's everybody. I think. Even watching the guys, watching them do the interviews in the locker room, they didn't even want to look up at the cameras.
Right.
They just. To get
they
that
shouldn't.
close.
They're shamed. They're shaming their city.
Okay. I'm not
losers.
No, they're not. Come on. Look what they did compared to when. When has it been this exciting?
Yeah, they lost.
When has it been this exciting?
The season's a failure. You don't advance in the playoffs this year. That's a failure.
Right.
First team. Yeah, first team ever to come back home.
And lose
three straight to lose a series.
It's the first time we've lost 3 all year long at home.
Right, 3 in a row. I don't think any of the players would tell you any different either. It's a failed season.
That's right.
Yeah, but they're all they're as disappointed as you guys. They look the same. I'm sitting here looking at your faces and. You know what? I drove past the stadium this morning, and the lights are all out compared to what it's been, and, it was all lit up. And what did they say? Till opening day next year.
Yep, that's the motto in Cincinnati, next year.
Well, guys, they got further. Come on.
And Doc speaks to that. Reds' late scoring chances kept them from coming back. But he talks in there about sports fans exist to have their hearts broken. They live to die. It's only the rare moments that they don't perish that keep them going. And then he goes on to talk about the fact that, they'd gotten that report that some of the reason that might be for the Reds not being on nighttime television was because they felt like the fans there weren't appreciating them and that they had booed when Leak. Well, I got to tell you, folks, the reason they're not on nighttime television is because the Yankees are in it.
Detroit's in it.
Yeah. It's just money market.
They put both in that. It was both National League games first.
That's right.
And those are the 4 cities that are going to be the least draw for you.
That's right.
Detroit with Triple Crown winning, Miguel Cabrera and Justin Verlander on the mound, and then the Yankees.
That's right.
I don't blame them at all for putting the Reds.
The Yankees have an international following.
Right.
But the Yankees took one on the chin last night. Baltimore beat them 2-1.
13 innings, man. I got family from Baltimore that's huge Orioles fans, huge Ravens fans first. They really didn't start rooting for the Orioles again until this year, just like a lot of people in Cincinnati for all those years.
Well, you think there's any chance Buck's going to win Manager of the Year?
Oh,
hands down.
Yeah, no
hands
question. And now that comes down to a Game 5.
Game 5?
They both do, I guess.
They do. Both of them are all 3.
What's the other one?
Isn't it? Cardinals and...
actually, all 4 went to Game 5.
Went to Game
Detroit won it last night, so Detroit's in the ALCS, and then you've got Yankees, Orioles tonight.
Right.
And then Nationals.
And the Cards. Wirt, I got a buddy of mine from St. Louis. He texted me, along the game and stuff. We have this ongoing thing going, and he texted me, "I hate Wirt." So I knew they had lost. I wasn't watching. So I love him.
Oh yeah,
I loved him yesterday, just for that brief moment.
Former Phillies.
That was right.
Hit a walk-off.
All right. Do we have any traffic, Denise?
We do. We actually have a fatal accident this morning that has Madison closed between Lavinia and Bedford. in O'Brienville, and there's a lot of people without power in that area as well. So I guess they're not listening to us if they're in there. But apparently a pickup truck took out several utility poles, and the car then caught on fire. And I guess the body is still in the car, so they're still working in that area. So that's going to be closed for quite some time this morning. And other than that, I took a nice ride in this morning. It seemed like it was fine. I was personally checking out the traffic on the way in, and didn't see any other issues on the interstates. I bet you didn't have any either at what time? 5:45 to 6 coming in here, 5:30?
The only problem I had was trying to get this black tape on my Cincinnati Reds hat to go across the cover to show my pain and my agony.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I saw a bunch of my friends last night, and their first thing to me was, "You okay, man?
Yeah.
You going to make it?"
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm just a diehard. I mean, I've seen so many great Reds games. I wanted to see one yesterday.
Yeah, it's so much hope for this team. After 2 years ago, it was everybody
just
was
glad to be there.
Glad to be there. Okay, we get swept out of the stadium 3 straight games, and then this year it was like, let's do something. We can't.
Maybe you should turn the hat around then.
I might do that before it's all said and done.
Well.
All right, this is ClassX Radio. We got a little George Harrison, Got My Mind Set on You.
Open it and search for ClassX Radio and rock out anywhere in the world to ClassX.
Hey, Bulldog. Hey, Bulldog.
ClassX Radio, this is Dr. Dan Francis, filling in for the Bulldog. We have cried a bit to start our time today over our beloved Cincinnati Reds. We probably need to give Brandon Phillips Oracle status. Did you hear what he did after the game? He hands out a box of baseball bats outside of the ballpark, and when he's finished, he thanks the fans and leaves.
See?
For Brandon Phillips.
Oracle status.
And he's about the only one that hit yesterday.
Do you know he would have been MVP of the series? What was he? 10 or 11 for whatever. I mean, he was close to 500, I think, hitting. He played his heart out. I felt bad for Joey. Joey never looked good, never looked right.
No, since he came back, there's something wrong with him.
For those of you who missed the game yesterday, your heart is probably beating better than mine. Reds fall to the Giants 6-4. Buster Posey hit a third grand slam in Giants postseason history. The Giants became the first NL team to overcome a 2-game deficit in a division series. Posey's second career grand slam off Latos put the Giants up 6-0 in the fifth.
He's hit 2 grand slams off of him?
That's the other reason I would have gotten him out.
Jeez.
Yeah. If you know that stuff, you've got to get him out of there. So that was just incredibly disappointing.
And we were talking during the break. One, I think the way Latos was acting at that point, you could tell in his body language that he needed to come out of the game. When you're that amped up and that kind of ticked off, it's nothing good is going to happen. You need somebody in there that's calmed down a little bit. So.
And Dusty had a chance to observe him all year long. He had to know that he was not working well. Quote for the day: "I was born for a storm, and a calm does not suit me." Andrew Jackson. Today in history, 1870. Yeah, that's right. Sounds like the Bulldog, doesn't it? 1870, General Robert E. Lee died in Lexington, Virginia, at the age of 63. 1901, Theodore Roosevelt renames the executive mansion the White House. 1933, Alcatraz becomes a federal prison, at least unofficially. In 1933, John Dillinger escapes from the Allen County, Ohio jail. 1973, Nixon nominates Gerald Ford to replace Spiro Agnew. I'm not even going to try to say his real last name. We had that earlier in the week.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
1987, we just played that song for you. George Harrison releases Got My Mind Set on You. And then this will date some of the youngsters in the room this morning, but John Denver died on a plane crash in Monterey Bay, California at 53 in 1997. Did you know or hear of John Denver?
I knew he died in a plane crash,
We made John Denver in that
right.
He's probably a little bit more of the, I don't know, softer rock kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he? He's country.
He's country rock, yeah.
But, I mean, well, I
Yeah.
guess. That was
Country
so long
Roads.
ago.
Isn't Country Roads a song?
Oh, look at that. I couldn't remember
It's the
that.
only one I know.
Garrett's,
A little mellow country.
And I hate
yeah.
country. It's
Yeah.
hillbillies out there. There a lot of musicians have died in not a lot
Scary,
of
isn't it? Well,
But yeah.
what was it? The country lady singer, red hair, now does the
Reba?
Reba
Oh.
McEntire. Her
Look at
crew,
this.
her band went down in a plane.
Really?
She took another plane back, or in a different way. But speaking, Otis Redding, Buddy Holly,
Yeah, the day the music died,
Yep.
Buddy Holly, and who else? The big
Patsy Cline.
Big
you guys-
Bopper
Are you reading it
was
off
on
of the
that.
computer?
I don't care where you get it. We're just
I
information.
know, but I'm
here.
impressed.
Stevie Ray Vaughan did.
Goodness, that's
Is that
right.
why they all go take buses now?
Ricky Nelson, that's right.
Jeez.
My gosh, don't fly if you're a rock star, right?
Leonard
Metallica's
Skinner did?
original bassist died in a bus crash.
Really?
Yeah. The other
Jim
three survived.
Croce. He was a
Lucky.
rockster. Today is also known as Global Scream. Not Stream, but Scream Day. It's also known as Gumbo Day. Anybody in here like gumbo?
I do like gumbo. Did you ever eat at the Naughty Pine on the Bayou?
I did not.
Oh, it's out in just right off of. You live in Kentucky. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just off of Licking Pike. I mean, they really have some really good Cajun. food
Actually,
out
we
there.
call it Lickin' Pike.
Licking Pike.
Licking Pike.
Licking Pike.
And then, of course, it's Oktoberfest Day. No military deaths to report. That's wonderful. Daily scripture is a very short one we could all memorize. Do not fret. Do not fret.
Kumbaya.
I will never forget
That
the
is
day
just
I
for
was
you.
coming in listening, and the Bulldog went into a rant, and then he said, that Dr. Dan Francis, and all this loving stuff, and then you all broke into Kumbaya, and I almost had to pull my car off the road. I was just loving it. Weather today, sunny, high of 61, low of 38. Saturday, partly cloudy, high of 73, low of 61. And some showers maybe sneaking in on Sunday, but I've heard that now they're kind of pushing those into the week. At least that's what I'm hoping
It'd be nice for it not to rain. You know, you don't mind going to work when it's rainy, but you got a weekend. You got stuff you want to do.
That's
That's
right.
right,
If I
Garrett.
can't golf this weekend, I'm going to be real ticked off at some weather people around here.
Well, don't look at me. I
Because
don't
it's
make
their
it.
fault.
And it's a 2-day tournament, isn't it? 2-day
Yeah,
thing you're doing?
Saturday and tomorrow and Sunday morning.
Good deal.
I need some good weather. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow. Colder on Sunday.
That's right. Do we have some traffic? Are things still calm?
Oh, well, we still have the one road closure due to that fatal accident, and that is in O'Brienville. That's Madison Road. That's closed in both directions at Lavinia and Bedford. So you're going to have to detour around. You know, I'll see if I can come up. I'll look up the map there. I'm sure most of you that live in that area, you know how to get around that. But other than that, you know, it's still early, Dan, so everything looking pretty good so far out there. And
Early is good.
unfortunately, whenever you have a fatal accident, they do shut the roads down, interstates, everything. You know, it takes sometimes if you've ever been stuck behind an accident on the expressway, you kind of wonder what the deal is, and they have to shut it down for investigation. So, you know, sometimes that takes a while.
ClassX Radio, we have the Doobie Brothers, Black Water.
The Doobies.
Uzo for ClassX Radio, the new breed of rock.
The new 88.9 and 89.1 FM. Class X at ClassXRadio.com.
Hey, Bulldog.
ClassX Radio,
Hey, Bulldog.
Dan Francis setting in for the Bulldog. We've made our way through the tears of the Reds' loss. We've done some morning news, and now we're going to go to that section that everybody looks for, the Jack Wagons and the Oracles. Jack Wagons. Joe Biden, the man laughed throughout the entire debate. Even the Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin, said he was losing the debate and called it obnoxious.
You jackwagon?
Obama deputy campaign manager Stephanie Cutter, she said the entire reason for the U.S. consulate attack on Libya became a political issue is because of Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, and called it a reckless and irresponsible part of their stump speech.
You jackwagon?
There it goes.
Button's not working, Dan, on my first click.
I'm sure you're on it. Oracle.
System error.
System error. Oracles. Romney hits back at Libya comment from Stephanie Cutter. No, President Obama, it's an issue because this is the first time in 33 years that a United States ambassador has been assassinated. He then added, President Obama, this is an issue because Americans wonder why it took so long for you and your administration to admit that this was a terrorist attack.
You've been awarded Oracle status.
Fox News anchor Chris Wallace, who's been in the news a little bit lately, of Biden's debate performance. He said, I don't believe I've ever seen a debate in which one participant was as openly disrespectful of the other as Biden was to Paul Ryan tonight.
You've been awarded Oracle status.
And one more, Washington Times' Emily Miller. She tweeted, Biden's laughing when he disagrees with Romney is so annoying, like a child in timeout.
That button's a little off.
You've been awarded Oracle
No, I didn't know.
status.
That time I didn't know if he was done. I'm like, is that it?
Okay, the real question is, Denise, did you ever put your kids in timeout?
I tried. You know, it's sad is I actually had to sit down. My middle one that I would always try to do timeout. I'd have to sit and hold him on my lap because he wouldn't, you know, it was like, you're going to sit down. You're going to sit
this is
here.
timeout.
So, yeah. So I had to
bet
sit.
Denise was a horrible mom.
I had
Oh,
to sit
man.
there and hold him. My kids are great kids. So.
Meanie.
Did you ever have to sit in timeout,
No.
Garrett?
Oh, hell yeah. In school more than anything.
Oh, shoot.
School teachers hated me.
Oh,
Were you-
really?
were you
I
an
wasn't
active
that
child?
bad. I wasn't that
Were
bad.
you an active child?
Yeah, I was just always moving around, drumming on my desk or something. You couldn't tell nowadays. I'm pretty,
Laid back.
Lay back, yeah.
Of course, we see you between the hours of 6 and 9, so I'm not sure that's a fair
Yeah,
estimate.
he's-
well, right,
very
yeah.
laid
You
back
couldn't.
at that
You
point.
guys couldn't tell because you see me so early in the morning.
Right, 7 to 9,
Not
it
so
kind of works back. Notes from history. Which president had 14 children?
Oh, wait, we should know
Oh,
this.
yeah,
just
yeah,
went through
we
this
should
last
know
week.
this.
Like Garfield or...
Clinton. No, I'm kidding. Wait, with one
They have
woman?
to be. They have to be known children.
Yes.
trying to cheat and look at his paper. We
Not
should remember-
illegitimates.
We just had this history test last week, and we
Right.
still can't remember.
But you did pass the biblical trivia test.
I did pass
You did.
Hey,
You
let's
did
play a
pass.
game. Let's play a game where we go around the room with the 3 microphones and name as many presidents as we can. The first one to repeat is out.
I would never remember
Yeah,
who.
you'll lose first. It's going to be me and Dan.
Going
I would
down.
be repeating it because I just wouldn't remember what you said from 1 minute to the next.
Yeah, all right. Zim
No,
and
thanks.
Jake,
I don't
you
wanna
guys
play.
No, you've got to play. You got to play. Zim and Jake have to determine if we say something twice over. All right. Denise, you can even have the advantage of starting.
Well, Reagan, how about that?
All right. Clinton.
George Washington.
You can't look it up. Go!
Did you say Clinton already?
Yeah, for God's
See?
sake.
I'm not sure this game is going to work.
No, this is a terrible game, Denise.
Wait, let me get my list up. George
Okay.
Washington.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
John Adams. See?
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
guys, I'm drinking. Oh, give me a break.
Okay, we're back
I'm
to-
drinking leftover coffee from the other room. So when I wake up, we'll play again, and then I'll keep my list up full time.
Which president had 14 children? John Tyler had 14 children who lived to maturity.
My next guess.
Right. His first wife, Letitia Christian. I didn't think they had Letitias back
Well,
then.
I didn't think
Either.
Letitias were around. And
Letitia Christian
The
had 3
1800s.
sons, 4 daughters before he became president. Letitia died in 1842. Tyler later married his second wife.
she black?
I'm not going there.
See-
Julia Gardner. I think that would have been a controversy.
Yeah,
who
probably
was
so.
30 years younger than he was. 7 children were born to that union. 5 boys, 2 girls. The youngest, Pearl, born in 1860, would live until 1947, more than a century after her father left the White House. Incidentally, John Tyler was a great, great, great uncle of Harry Truman. That was another one you could have gotten. The wild,
Denise, you cheated and still managed to say
And
George
still-
Washington
I know, I just
twice
wanted
in
to
a
get
row.
And Clinton.
And Clinton.
I'm telling you, I just can't I can't remember.
The
Squat.
wild, dirty West, 1871, Tucson, Arizona, was the heart of the Wild West and boasted 3,000 people 2 doctors, 1 newspaper, a brewery, several salons, but guess what? Just 1 bathtub. 3,000 people, 1 bathtub.
Sanitary.
Does that sound dirty?
That sounds gross.
Hillbillies out there. No. What year was that?
1871.
Maybe they just didn't take a bath.
And that's
Back then,
why
they
they
just didn't
called
take
it
a bath,
the
did they?
Wild, Wild, Dirty West.
I was gonna say
Who was
that.
the first divorced president? This is pretty easy, really, because it's fairly recent.
Reagan?
Yep, Ronald Reagan.
He had
was
how many wives did he have?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Ronald Reagan was the first divorced man to serve as president. The divorce between him and movie star Jane Wyman became final in 1948, though they had separated in 1947. The underlying cause was Reagan's increased involvement with the Screen Actors Guild. He was president of the Guild when Wyman won her Oscar for playing a deaf mute in Johnny Belinda in the 40s. Reagan married Nancy Davis in 1952, and there's no mention of Jane Wyman at the Reagan Presidential Museum in California.
Well, how long was he married to her?
Well, it didn't say how long. It just says when he divorced her.
Well, he was married
Was he
to
2
Nancy.
terms?
Yes.
Reagan?
Wasn't he? Yeah, he was 2-termer.
I don't know that would happen again today. A divorced I feel like too much dirt would be uncovered.
Speaking of dirt being uncovered, when are politicians going to learn just level early and get it done? There's this senator in Tennessee, I read yesterday, who they're coming after his divorce proceedings papers 10 years after his divorce. And in there, he is a pro-life guy, but he's got transcripts in there where they took his phone conversations with a lady who was not his wife. He told her to have an abortion.
Oh.
And they have this, and so they're wanting to get those out in the public.
You would think that would be a sealed,
Well, I'm sure it probably was
whatever.
at the time, but you know how that goes. But it just, go ahead and talk about it, get it done, and then it's not going to come back and haunt you. All right, any traffic we got going on over there, Denise?
You know what? It's still pretty quiet out there. We know it's almost 7, so it'll start picking up. It's still dealing with the road closure on Madison. That's Madison and O'Brienville. That is closed between Lavinia and Bedford due to a fatal accident. They're still working in that area. Several power poles are down because of that accident. I don't know how you hit several, but apparently that's what caused his car to catch on fire as well. So still working in that area. I'll let you know when they reopen it. So if you live there, you might run into some problems.
Thank you. The feel-good song of the day was the Partridge Family, I Think I Love You. And I was going to skip over that until I found out that Eric loves this song. So the Bulldog wants us to play it. And I'm going to just have to say for one time always, he might be a jackwagon. So anyway,
jackwagon?
I Think I Love You, the Partridge Family.
It's real easy, man.
Class X.
Hey, Bulldog.
ClassX Radio. Dr. Dan Francis, Latonia Baptist Church, stayintheroom.com. You want to text us, 859-816-1354. Email address is ukguy.dan@gmail.com. ukguy.dan@gmail.com. The bearded man. Every U.S. president with a beard was a Republican. The 5 bearded presidents were, I bet we know at least one of them, don't we? Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford Hayes, James Garfield, and Benjamin Harrison. Question of the day. If a compulsory liar tells you he is a compulsory liar, do you believe him?
Garrett, I don't know. How would we answer that?
If somebody is what? A compulsive liar?
And he tells you he's a compulsive liar, do you believe him?
What about if somebody tells you they're an honest person, but they lie?
I knew I'd get this one. We'd blow this one up. Virtue of the day is enthusiasm, a feeling of excitement, exuberance, overflowing with eager enjoyment or approval. Now, who in this studio today has that?
Not me.
Enthusiasm?
No, yeah, it's Mr. Neat.
Overexcitement? I'm trying to wake up.
Well, enthusiasm actually means in God. In theos is a term that means when you're filled with God. Humor for the day. This one was okay. John entered the confessional and told the priest that he had committed adultery. Oh, no, said the priest, thinking of the most promiscuous women in town. Was it Marie Brown? I'd rather not say who it was, John responded. Was it Betty Smith, the priest said? I'd rather not say, says John. So the priest gave him absolution, and John left. When leaving the church, John's friend Jake asked him if he received absolution. And John replied, yes, I did, and you won't believe it, but I got 2 pretty good leads. 2 leads on dates. It is not my joke.
Good one, man.
I think we need to put it away and
I
stay
should
away
have
from
known
those
better
presidents.
than to
They're
use
setting it up.
Me, a Baptist minister, use a joke about a priest. I should
there
have known
you
better.
go.
Priest walks into a bar.
Right. Sees a Baptist. Are you really here? No. Review the White House schedule. 9:45, President receives the presidential briefing. 11:55, he departs to Joint Base Andrews. 2:35, he arrives in Miami, Florida, delivers remarks, and then departs Florida about 8:05, and then arrives back at the White House. Shakespeare for the day. Good God, these nobles should such stomachs bear. These nobles should such stomachs bear.
Shakespeare doesn't make any sense.
The only thing I can come up with there is that he saw a bunch of nobles and they needed to go on some weight training or something because they had stomachs that...
Bunch of fatties.
Yeah, a bunch of fatties.
Okay, I've had somebody text me their phone number, and then somebody or send me that in an email, and then somebody asked me to ask the Bulldog about fighting cameras in Elmwood in Elmwood Place or wherever the traffic cameras are. Isn't that interesting? It's like Bulldog isn't here, but I'll ask him.
Okay,
Eric at ericdeters.com.
Yeah, that's right. Make sure. That's
Eric,
He's
right.
at the spa.
Deters.com.
I bet right now Bulldog's probably got those cucumbers over his eye and like
a mud mask.
Yeah, the hot rocks.
Wait. It's only 7. He ain't getting up till 11.
What's the masking cream that they put on your face? A little shower cap and everything. I bet that's the dog right now.
I'm telling you, that image is a profound one right now in my brain. That's fried into my brain. Kodak moment. And you know by now he is just chomping at the bit.
Getting rubbed down by some 300-pound Samoan.
Did he get that far away? I thought he was going to like Amish country or something.
Somewhere.
Oh.
All right.
Rubbed down by some 300-pound hillbilly. Out there in the...
Don't talk about people like that. It's not nice, no.
Teeth.
Next time we're going to have a country song.
We cut Dan off on this.
I'm not going back. I'm not going
when
back.
When he started hitting how many presidents had beards, I'm like, we just had that quiz last week, and I still can't remember, so I don't want to go there.
I feel like I would beat Denise in a trivia contest.
Oh, you probably. I'm telling you, I can't remember. I've had 3 kids. I don't know. I lost brain cells with each child. I can remember their names on occasion. Now, this weekend, I kept calling my son Gavin. I would call him Clay. Clay wasn't even home, so I'm like, Clay. Gavin. So no, I can't always remember their names. I'm telling you, it had nothing to do with alcohol as a young person or the lead in the mini blinds. I really, truly think it was each time I had a kid, I lost brain cells.
Did you have an epidural when you had your children?
I did, because my first one was a C-section. So after that, I even had to have the epidural for the next 2, but I was able to have those normal.
Gary, did you ever have an epidural before?
For my was that my second pregnancy, I had 6 epidurals that time.
6 epidurals and a large bat to the head.
Can't you hear him saying, "Come on now, load me up. I need."
Come on, Doc.
Denise had an epidural just before she came.
I
needed one.
All right, if your epidural will allow you, do we have any traffic out there?
Well, you know what? Just still dealing, again, like I said, with that same closure, Madison in both directions between Lavinia and Bedford. And, the rest of the traffic is starting to really pick up out there, but no big delays. It's that time of the day. And some schools are off, too. I know my daughter's off school again today, so I'm starting to pick up through the cut in the hill, not really seeing much of a problem anywhere else.
Okay.
They can always call us or text us in here if there is one. Don't text while you're driving. You can maybe make a phone call. We do have a ClassX hotline, too. It's 513-201. What is that, 8841 over there on that Post-it note, guys?
Yep.
8841. We do have a phone
91.
line.
91.
Okay. 8891. 201-8891. So you can always call us if there's an issue.
Traffic tips. Should have the traffic helicopter back.
I know.
Speaking to
this
the helicopter.
This weekend, you need to get it back.
As tribute to the helicopter, ClassX Radio, Fly Like an Eagle.
Oh, you know what, Dan? I forgot to tell you, we don't have that song.
Oh,
my bad.
Are you kidding me?
I know. You know
I'm
what?
going to be so devastated.
It's a great song. Maybe
it was grounded just like the helicopter.
Didn't Seal do a cover of that song, "Fly Like an Eagle"?
He did.
Maybe we got that. But a little. Who was it? Lenny Kravitz. Yeah, that's right.
So who do we have?
A little Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
I love them.
That's good.
Cincinnati, 88.9 WMWX, Miamitown, Harrison, Coleraine. 89.1 WKCX, Crittenden, Florence, and Alexandria. And 89
Church, stayintheroom.com. Filling in for the Bulldog. We'll be back very, very soon.
You think? What if he changes his mind?
If he does, we're here.
What would you call yourself? How would you just? What do you call yourself when you fill in for the Bulldog?
Well, at one point, Gary and I talked about being the Bull Pups, but I'm not sure that adequately displays the strength and vigor that we bring to this task. So,
well, if you were,
I'd like to be a mountain lion.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what kind of animal or what kind of dog would you be if you had to? What kind of dog, personality-wise, would you be? I mean, obviously,
a boxer.
A boxer? Why a boxer?
Because they don't take any.
Oh. Kind of like the Bulldog, I get, because he goes, okay.
I think it's why the Bulldog and I kind of have some commonalities, even though our areas of expertise are significantly different.
Huh.
I grew up on the other side of the tracks kind of guy. You can take the guy out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the guy sometimes,
You said you were a drummer, too.
I was a drummer, rock and roll drummer. Mom always knew where we were because she bought us all this band equipment, put us in the basement, and the worst thing we ever did was just get the cops called on us because we were playing loud.
Well, but you know what? That kept you out of trouble big time.
She knew exactly where we were.
Where are you from?
Northern Kentucky, Covington.
Okay.
I'm a Covington Bulldog, which, by the way, you had talked to me about doing some high school sports. We will, but let me just give you a precursor to that, and that is that my Covington Holmes Bulldogs, who normally are very good in basketball, but not so good in football, they've got a new coach this year, and he's doing pretty well, has beat Beechwood and Newport Catholic, and yet they're ranked below them in the poll this week. So,
and you said they're playing my alma mater, which is Highlands.
Notice I was very humble when I said that because I've watched too many of those games.
I'll tell you, it is hard to go watch, though. I mean, my boys didn't play football, but
they are a machine.
I have nephews that play, and my brother played, so I don't go to a whole lot of the games. I used to when my daughter was cheering more. This year she's a senior; she didn't want to cheer, but it's hard to go watch because when you're winning like that, it just gets old. You just want to walk down to the pub and sit and. You know it's going to be the same thing. So.
If you follow sports in Kentucky at all, across football lines, the two teams that have dominated is Trinity, Louisville Trinity. They dominate, and then Fort Thomas Highlands. I mean,
yeah, I can't even remember. I know last year when they went to state. I mean, it's just like all down Memorial Parkway. It's a row of signs of years that they've won state. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody in state knows them.
Yeah.
At some point, we needed to talk about the debate last night, and we've chatted together as a group. We're not going to do the full analysis like the Bulldog would. We've shared some things, but the Veep debate violations, I pull up Fact Check. They've got just kind of a brief summary, and brief is, that's always somebody else's description. But the Biden-Ryan debate was marked by some spirited claims that didn't always match the facts. Ryan said Obama's proposal to let tax rates rise for high-income individuals would, quote, tax about 53% of small business income, end of quote. Actually, that's wrong. Ryan is counting giant hedge funds and thousands of other multi-million-dollar enterprises as small business. 2, Biden exaggerated when he said House Republicans cut funding for embassy security by $300 million. The amount approved for fiscal year 2012 was actually $264 million, less than requested, and covers construction and maintenance, not just security. Number 3, Ryan was wrong when he said a rise in the jobless rate in Biden's hometown was, quote, how's it going all around America? The rate nationally has sunk back to where it was when Obama took office, and in Ryan's hometown, it is more than 4% lower than it was at the start of Obama's term. Biden seemed to question Ryan's assertion that the administration officials called Syria President Bashar Assad a reformer even when he was killing his own civilian countrymen. Ryan was right. Early in the bloody Syrian uprising, Hillary Clinton called Assad a different leader who many in Congress believe is a reformer. Ryan claimed that Obama administration spent stimulus money on electric cars in Finland. Not true. Although the cars have been assembled in Finland, the money went for work in the United States. Biden quoted Romney as saying that he would not move heaven and earth to get Osama bin Laden. What Romney said was that he'd go after other terrorists as well. Ryan misquoted a Medicare official as saying 1 out of 6 hospitals and nursing homes are going to go out of business. And as a result of the Affordable Care Act, that is not quite true. The official said that many would become unprofitable and the situation could be monitored to head off bad outcomes. 2 more. Ryan claimed that the ACA contains taxpayer funding of abortion. In fact, the law provides no direct funding of abortion except in cases of rape or incest or to save the mother's life, and it's a matter of interpretation whether subsidized private insurance would amount to indirect federal support for abortion. Ryan, the final one, was off base when he said of a cost-saving panel created by the Affordable Care Act, not one of them even has to have medical training. Actually, the board must include physicians and other health care professionals among its members. Ryan at one point ground out a collection of shopworm misstatements about the health care state law that we've had to rebut again and again, claiming 20 million people are projected to lose their health insurance, which fact check says isn't true, and that premiums have gone from up 3,000. No, they haven't, according to fact check. And the 7.4 million seniors are going to lose Medicare Advantage plans. And fact check says maybe, but they still would be covered by the traditional Medicare. So both Biden and Ryan continue to twist the facts about Romney's tax plan. Biden again misrepresented the findings of the nonpartisan tax center, and Ryan repeated a misleading claim that 6 studies have verified that the plan is mathematically possible. So that's the overview from the experts. I just saw bits and pieces. I had things going on. We talked a little bit in the studio here this morning. Did anybody gain anything that just changed your mind about something, or did you watch it, or was it not that important because it was the vice president?
Well, you know, I did watch some of it. I didn't watch all of it like I did the presidential debates. It certainly wasn't near as entertaining as the presidential debate, but you know what gets me is, and he's not here, so I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant, but nursing homes. I had both my grandparents and we had to put my father-in-law in a nursing home. You know, we put him in this nursing home, and it was in Florence, and my father-in-law had Alzheimer's, so we had to find one that was a facility that locked him in because he would wander around in the streets. That's right. A lot of those missing people. But they were, you know, the bills, $10,000 a month for him. Now, he was self-sufficient. They didn't have to feed him. They just basically, you know, he did have to wear Depends, whatever. $8 is what they charged us for every Depend they put on him. They charged for every diaper wipe they had to use to clean him off. They charged for every little teeny thing, just like, you know, the hospitals, arm and a leg. And when I called to complain to them about we're just trying to help you spend down so you can get the Medicaid help that you need so that it won't be so expensive. I'm like, what help spending down? Why don't you we'll just buy the Depends and bring them in. We'll buy the diaper wipes. Why? And then the government is allowing that to happen. And then they want to go in there and Medicaid, does Medicaid pay that kind of money? I mean, it's ridiculous to think. I mean, it came to the point where, you know, if you think about it, 10, 12 grand a month. And that was me even arguing with them to bring the prices down. My mother-in-law was scared to death at the time of the expense. And when he said, we're just trying to help you spend down, why don't they go after that? Why don't they go out and regulate what a nursing home can charge for things like that? Medications, I mean, Depends. You can buy a box of them for $36.
Well, if both the camps would probably say their approach is trying to deal with that kind of issue. I'm on a board for senior adult facilities. There's facilities called Baptist Life Village, Baptist Life Communities is the head name, and there's 3 different facilities that we oversee. I've been on the board for 10 years there, so I know a little bit more about that kind of health care than I really want to. I mean, I watch it all the time.
Right.
But I will say this. Both those running for president would say, I'm trying. And what it is, Denise, is that there is this tension between, guess what? Who gets the money? A big surprise. And you've got government and you've got providers. And the providers feel kicked around because they get dictated to. And the doctors and those that are provided who have gone to school all their lives are saying, no, we know how to do this better than you do. And the fact is there's a middle road in all this. But because egos and money and processes get in the middle, it's always feel like it's in tension. And when groups are in tension against each other, guess what happens? Waste, stupidity, and the cost of those kinds of things drives me crazy. My father-in-law right now is in a memory unit, just like you just said. They have to lock down. You can't be able to get out. And the other day, we can't bring stuff in because there's limited about what we can bring in, but they can't touch his medication. So we have to go in. They can give it to him once we decide what goes in the little boxes. But every week we have to put it in the boxes because they can't touch the medicine until it gets in the boxes. So there's all kinds of regulations.
So there aren't any nurses or anything on staff at that location?
But in a memory unit, there's this categorization where we bring the drugs, you dispense them.
I see.
But in other ones, so there's all kinds of guidelines. And then it's the payer or payee system that gets involved. Oh, it's very complicated.
It's to me is just unbelievable. And I mean, watching that, I thought, no wonder there's no money. No wonder there's no money because if that's it. And I'm like, don't fight the Medicaid issue. There's no reason for nursing homes. If you're going to pay, there's a set fee. I mean, $10,000 a month to live in a room that you share with another man, so it's $20,000 a room is what a nursing home is making?
Honestly, what she told you was not the truth. It was the truth in that they wanted to get down their Medicaid spending for you. But what they're saying is we want to create a stream of income that will keep us self-sufficient.
Well, I mean, my mother-in-law had $120,000 set aside for his nursing home expenses. Right. And at $10,000 a month, that doesn't last very long.
Doesn't last long. That's right.
And that depends on how many depends he needed a month, and it just didn't make sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
And I mean,
my whole theory about the whole election stuff, we've got to start working together. We've got to quit being snarky. We've got to start treating people civilly, and let's agree on something that helps the people as opposed to make sure my party is in power and is right.
Right. Well, Romney did say that in his presidential debate, that he works with both parties. You have to.
I wish he would lean a little more into his plan in Boston because it worked there. It really did. He says he would like to do that, but there's all these discrepancies about people with in a nutshell, what the Affordable Care Act does is bring a double mandate. A double mandate is they want to be able to make sure everybody can get insurance, that they can't kick you out, and they want everybody to have insurance because you make the pool bigger and have the money, which makes the more money in it, but you also have to have some kind of teeth to it to make it work. Or, like they said the other day, well, if you don't have insurance, I'll just go to the emergency room. Do you think ultimately that we don't pay for that? The local paper ran an article about 6 months ago. I think it was 2 people cost $1.7 million to go to the emergency room for health care.
I mean, I had to pay. It was $1,000 to take my daughter one night because she was having this excruciating, and I would never normally do it. But, honestly, I can sit here and say, since I've been off work, I haven't had health insurance for 9 months.
Wow.
So, and my son, I've started to buy a policy. I can't even get him covered because he has a pre-existing skin condition. I can't get a 20-year-old boy covered on health insurance.
There is something wrong with that. And that's why, if people want to know about why a government-mandated system is there, it's probably, and again, I'm not speaking for those guys because I've just read enough, that you have to have the teeth of the federal government to get people to be able to say, we've got to cover these people.
Yeah, and because he has a pre-existing condition is why they won't cover it. It's just ridiculous. So, no, I mean, I don't want to go off on it, but...
I think you did.
Well, I did, but
That's
you know
good.
what? They need to fix it.
Sure they do. Sure
they
do.
need to fix it. I don't care what...
Our word to Washington ought to be, okay, whoever gets in there, fix this and start working with each other and stop this back and forth, because ultimately we are the losers in all of that.
Right.
When you choose not to work together. And all of it is a bunch of egos, and that's what I get weary of.
Yeah. Well, and they're worried about birth control issues and paying for birth control pills. I don't care. People need more than that.
Abortion is going down, 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 because why? Contraceptives have gone up.
Well, and you know what? If they try to force that, you're going to have people going to just back in the old days.
Well, I'm glad we didn't get any political stuff going on there. Okay, well, you got to give me some rock and roll. This is ClassX Radio.
ClassX.
ClassX Radio, this is Dr. Dan Francis, Latonia Baptist Church, stayintheroom.com. We're having a great time talking heavier stuff. We're going to go to pop culture. Rest in peace, Sammy Kane Kraft, 20-year-old, whose baseball skills helped get her the part of pitcher Amanda Wurlitzer in the Bad News Bears, was killed when the Audi she was a passenger in was involved in an accident in L.A. The driver of the car was believed to have been intoxicated. Please.
How about that? I read about that yesterday.
That is so sad.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
That was a funny movie. I mean, obviously a remake.
Right.
But
a fun movie.
Man, Billy Bob Thornton was good in that. He just plays the ultimate dirtbag.
He does. Think of some of the things he's played in. He's good.
Yeah. I mean, I read that was like the only movie she'd ever done. She was like 15 at the time. I guess was 20 when she died.
So sad.
Which actually, was she only 15? It seems like it's been out longer than 5 years, but maybe
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, funny movie. They just apparently plucked her right out of some baseball field in Los Angeles.
So she could play. Yeah.
I guess a girl that could play. And
WSJ is reporting that the publisher's favorite president is Abraham Lincoln. Through 16,000 books have already been written about Abraham Lincoln. 20 more are headed to the publisher before summer. The reason I pulled that little bit of news out is I have a good friend I've mentioned a couple times here, Stephen Mansfield, who is coming out with a book on, guess who, Abraham Lincoln. This year. I just saw the cover for it the other day. Nolan Gould from Huffington Post is reporting the Modern Family star has graduated from high school. That's the young little white kid. There's the Hispanic child and then him. If you've watched that, he's got the curly hair. At age 13, he's graduated from high school. The actor who plays Luke is a member of Mensa and has an IQ of 150. So this is one bright little kid.
It was
is that
not
good?
I wasn't thinking about it. I can't imagine.
Oh, that's very good.
Well,
yeah.
At 13, Eric graduated from high school at 15, right?
That's
so
right.
yeah, it's pretty smart kid.
Yep.
Graduated I think it was 9 when I graduated from Anderson.
Oh, I was going to say kindergarten, you mean?
Yeah.
So,
real funny, Denise.
Man, that was a major
well,
hit.
Somebody's starting to wake up.
Nine's a little young. Come on.
We just went personal, didn't we?
People do graduate from kindergarten.
At least I didn't go to some hillbilly school in Kentucky.
Neither did I. Far from hillbilly.
I'm from Anderson High School.
Good
we
for
take a
you.
lot of pride in that.
Good. Same here.
East Siders.
Marty Brenneman lives in Anderson.
Marty's a good friend of mine.
Yeah?
Tom.
Good.
Tom B. went to Anderson. A lot of famous people come from Anderson. High-ranking public officials.
Right.
East Side.
Well, we have
Highlands guy.
We have people. Collinsworth's kids go to Highlands. Merrill Hodge's kids go to Highlands.
Who?
Merrill Hodge.
Who?
Yeah, you know.
Who's?
Hodge and Podge. They go together.
Okay, yeah.
And,
gotcha.
There's plenty. A lot of doctors, a lot of attorneys. There's a lot of,
doctors. Crooked doctors.
You know what? Anderson and Fort Thomas is just a difference of across the river. That's all it is.
Speaking of across the river, do we have a traffic report?
I'm kind of just scrolling around here while I'm arguing with Garrett, looking at pictures of the cameras around the tri-state. So still have the road closure
Facebook.
on Madison. No, Facebook. You know what? Facebook is on here. I keep it up all the time. But Madison is closed at Lavinia and Bedford in between there due to a fatal accident earlier this morning. They were working on getting utility poles. Apparently, the pickup truck took out several utility poles. So power lines and things like that caused the car to catch on fire. So they were working on that. And then 7175, if you're heading in, Kyle's on down to the river. Really, it's back to about Dixie right now on down to the river. You're still slow there. It's about 20 minutes. Eastbound or westbound 275 from Loveland on over to 71. You're slow there. And then once you hit 71 on down to around the Ronald Reagan merge, 75, it's pretty normal. So if you're going southbound 75, it's from Allen Road down to 275, then through the Lockland split on down to around Paddock. But no other accidents right now. So at least
that's great traffic report.
Yeah,
that was awesome. That was really, really informative. I appreciate that. Speaking of informative, Dateline tonight just confirmed with the underboss, Chuck Holbrook, that Dateline 1 hour special on the Sarah Jones case.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Tonight.
Set your TiVo or DVRs to make sure you get it recorded.
Okay.
Cool. The Eagles. This is ClassX Radio. Heartache Tonight.
ClassX.
ClassX Radio. Dr. Dan Francis setting in for the Bulldog. We are in culture news, and we will continue that for a little while. TMZ's reporting the rapper Nelly said he had no idea that a member of his staff who was arrested yesterday had 10 pounds of marijuana, 36 baggies of heroin, and a loaded .45 pistol on the tour bus.
Yeah, that'll get you arrested.
Every time. And,
hey,
go ahead.
What is your take on illicit drugs?
They're
not
illicit.
Like heroin.
They're illicit.
Like marijuana.
I think we're headed toward medical marijuana, beyond medical marijuana. In other words, I think it's going to be legalized probably in my lifetime at some level. You're allowed to have it. That would be my 2 cents. I think over a certain quantity, you're going to get hit. But
Denise was just telling me earlier she loves to smoke marijuana,
right?
And I didn't know what your take was. If that was,
did she bring some this morning with her? Do you know?
I think she actually just had in the car out in the parking lot before the show.
That might have helped me wake up. I don't know, or does that put you to sleep?
I wouldn't know, Denise.
Like
you
well,
would.
Neither would
you're asking me.
I'm asking you because if I
heard her say something like, "Since the helicopter's down, that's the only way you can get high."
That's true. She's
that's
looking.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
She's looking
the
for
Dan the Doobie Brothers. Yeah. Am I looking for research on it? I couldn't tell you anything about it, honestly.
By the way, Sarah Jones, I misspoke before because Denise was kicking me under the table. She's on Nightline is the big special tonight. 1 hour special on Sarah K or whatever her middle name is Jones. Sarah E. Jones.
Have you seen the little pictures they've been? If you look something up, they'll show a picture of it from the paper, and Eric's head's in it, and then you see her in the back. But Eric's head seems to always be in there. I can't imagine.
Yeah. He's easy to spot when you get.
Usually, Eric's off to the side. He's not in the middle of anything. He's real sedate, quiet.
He is.
No, when he's sleeping.
You never see him anywhere, huh?
No. Barbra Streisand. That's a switch from Nelly the rapper. Showbiz 411's reporting during her comeback concert at the Barclays Center in New York last night. She said, "I hope no one tells Mitt Romney how to get to Sesame Street or Pennsylvania Avenue." This is going to be a jackwagon, by the way. He's quite an actor, a chameleon, really. That's a Bulldog note jackwagon.
You jackwagon?
LaToya Jackson. TMZ is reporting, you've got to be kidding me. She is threatening to sue Vanity Fair magazine for running an article which claimed she went to Michael's home shortly after he died and stole bags of cash and put them in a duffel bag. She wants a full retraction. Michael Vick owns a dog. TMZ is reporting He says, it is important to make sure my children develop a healthy relationship with animals and that he will continue to honor my commitment to animal welfare and be an instrument of positive change.
He's still a punk. He really is. Yeah. I mean, he just, first of all, how is he even allowed to own a dog?
He wasn't as part of his agreement for like so many months or a year or whatever. He was not allowed to own one, but just recently that was over, and so evidently immediately he got one.
Pit bull?
Well, a pit bull.
I don't know what it was.
Oh.
I just heard the report on sports radio this morning about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's I don't think he's changed. I mean, he just kind of knows the error of his ways now and that he got caught. But I mean, to get involved in dog fighting like deep as he did.
I mean, it wasn't just involved. He had it was almost like he ran his own
ring
back there.
It's like his own like gambling.
And the treatment they talked about in the burying of the dogs and the
electrocuting and hanging.
It was horrendous.
Oh, it was eerie. It was eerie. When I saw the pictures of like his house and like the compound and like the woods that they did, it was like, oh, that's just eerie. Like, and I've seen there's pictures online of like dog fighting, like where they house the dogs, and it's just like a field with all these like dog house, and they're all just like chained up, and I
am not a animal person.
I hate dogs.
I didn't grow up with them a lot, but I will tell you, I can't stand to see an animal hurt.
Oh yeah,
any kind of animal,
I would go after somebody to see him hurting a dog. I just can't stand that.
Can't stand dogs, but I would never
want to see him hurt.
Guess what? I just won't own one.
Yeah, I won't either.
Do you like cats?
I don't mind cats, which a lot of people are the opposite. Like, oh, cats suck. They don't do anything. They're lazy.
Right.
You don't really have to take care of a cat, though.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, the cats kind of go and do
does
their own
its own
thing.
Exactly.
They even take their baths,
Yeah.
Yep. You don't have to do anything with a cat.
Right.
Yeah. That's. I have a cat and 2 dogs. So.
Which one do you like most?
Oh, I like my dogs. Actually, I'm even allergic to my cat.
What kind of dogs are they? You got those little yap dogs, ones like fit in your purse kind of things.
I tried. Paco is supposed to be a teacup Chihuahua.
Ugh.
I mean, when I bought him, he was a pound or so. And when I worked at Channel 9, I took him in. He's 7 years old. He's the size of a football. Okay, his body is built like a football. Just cut the bottom of the football
like an NFL size, college size football, high school.
Is there really a difference in the size?
Well, yeah,
of the
actually, there's the diameter can go up as much as a half a centimeter in each one. I just was wondering.
Is there one that's like the size of a teapot?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
You're
well,
probably
whatever.
Looking about an NFL size.
Okay, there you go. So I don't play football, guys. So I don't know. Okay, you guys.
He was taking you down a dark alley. In case you know.
Yeah, well, I tried to not to follow
So what
him
about your other? So you got a little yap dog, little ankle biter.
Paco is supposed to be a teacup Chihuahua, but more like a teapot. So he sits straight up and begs. He looks kind of like a prairie dog. He was supposed to be the purse dog. He was for a while. And then I have little yappy dogs. I mean, Sophie is a Yorkie, but you know what? I don't want big dogs. It's bad enough to go out and pick up poop in the backyard as it is. It still fills up a bag. But
that's probably the one thing. That's probably my main reason I hate dogs.
Can you imagine
clean up their crap.
A big dog it's as bad as you? I don't want to have to go out and clean up large amounts of.
So we're down to measuring the size
crap.
of the
It's still poop.
Right, but there's a difference of when you have a whole entire handful or you can pick it up with a bag in your fingers.
Not really, still poop.
And therein lies my difficulty of having a dog. Here I see a really sophisticated, intelligent person walking their dog, and they have a baggie in their hand. And I look at them and say, okay, you owner, them dog, who's picking up the poop?
Yeah.
Owner is picking up the poop.
It's
Count
a little
me
backward.
Out. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That is not one thing.
You had kids, though, right? Did you ever change a diaper?
Never. I don't.
You never changed a diaper?
Of course I did.
I bet there's men out there.
My granddaughter, I've changed many of them.
Well, and that's just it, though. I mean, it's the same thing. I love my dogs. They kind of, as the kids grew up, I actually had 3 before I was divorced, and each one, they're all 2.5 years apart, and I had 2 boy dogs and a girl, and they even have the same personalities, which is a crack up as my kids.
Sounds like a lot of yapping around your house.
Yeah, well, not anymore. They're pretty quiet. I mean, Sophie's 3, she's kind of tamed down, but I love my dogs.
Is there anything worse than the dog smell? Wet dog? No, that is a horrible smell.
Well, when you have small dogs, it isn't as bad.
Any yapping on the roads today? How about the traffic? Anything going on?
You know what? We do have another accident, and that is on Neeb, south of Muddy Creek, so you need to watch for that in that Hamilton area. Still have that road closed due to the early morning accident, and that happened like at 3 o'clock this morning. Madison is closed between Lavinia and Bedford due to a fatal accident there. Telephone poles or utility poles are down. As far as southbound 75, you're still pretty heavy from right up around the Allen Road overpass to 275, then on and off from Lockland on down to Paddock, northbound 71, 75. You know, it's pretty typical there. Right around, it doesn't really look too bad at Buttermilk. But you're still pretty heavy through Kyle's on down to the bridge. 275 kind of looking the same. No other accidents that I'm seeing reported right now, so at least that's good news. It's Friday.
That sounds better.
All right, we got terrific traffic, Denise. Thank you again.
You're so welcome.
We got another. The underboss can't get it right today. I don't know what Chuck's deal is. He says, abort, it's Dateline. So it is Dateline. But they are not airing the 1 hour Sarah Jones special now. It's now next Friday.
Next Friday,
Dateline.
So the Bulldog will have some time to get ready for this one.
Sarah E. Jones.
This is ClassX Radio, Genesis, that's all.
Hey, Bulldog.
ClassX Radio, filling in for the Bulldog. Dr. Dan Francis, I'm not going to tell you what they're calling me here in the studio.
I will, Doobie Dan.
Oh, because he likes the Doobie
He's
Brothers.
a big fan of the Doobies.
I'm a big friend of the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
All right, back to culture news. Kris Jenner, you know, the one married to Bruce Jenner. I know, Miss Kardashian. Sources say the mother of Kim is in talks to film a 6-week test run of a daytime talk show which would air on Fox stations during early summer. Is anybody surprised?
I wouldn't watch it.
I wouldn't watch it. Bobby Christina Brown, you've heard that name. The 19-year-old daughter, Whitney Houston, is reportedly engaged to her brother turned boyfriend, 22-year-old Nick Gordon. Now, before we freak out,
what?
Gordon was unofficially adopted by Whitney when he was 12, after his father was sent to prison and his mother was not available to care for him. So it's not technically a brother, but how do you spell complicated, you know?
That's just a shame, because you know she's...
You know she is,
after her mom died. Whitney had the greatest voice.
I am telling you, to this day. We need to find a Whitney, too.
Yeah, we do. I was just thinking that.
She could stop me in, with a heartbeat, with just her voice. It was a unbelievable
what's the song?
From the...
I Will Always Love You, from The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
Listen to you.
It's a classic song.
We will have to to that one. You got that one ready here in a minute?
The way she hits that note. Nope, of course not. Come on, Spry.
Man, come on.
Maybe I'll download. I can download that. That's one that...
It's good, huh?
That we
good
need.
Stuff.
How about the Almond Brothers? We got any Almond Brothers in there?
The who?
Almond Brothers? Like Ramblin' Man? You know what I'm talking
about. Almond Joy?
I'm sorry, I
don't... The candy
bar.
You
don't know the Almond Brothers? Okay.
All right,
the almond?
Seth Meyers from The View, the head writer for Saturday Night Live, called Joe Biden the loosest cannon on the ship. I think that's a great line. Lindsay Lohan, we couldn't have a morning show without having something from Lindsay. She says she regrets telling her father that her mother is on cocaine, saying it was untruthful and hurtful. Welcome to...
How is she relevant? How do people get... that just gives me no hope in the American people that they watch these train wrecks like the Kardashians.
Why do we keep reporting?
Yeah. Does anybody really care?
I don't know. Dan, you brought her up again. Didn't you talk about her yesterday beating her mom up in a car?
I'm only going through the Bulldog's information. It's not on to me.
Not your fault, Dan.
No. I'm one of those guys.
It's William's fault. William, you're fired. You're fired. I'm going to Bulldog put me in second in command.
Did he?
When he left for the spa. She's got the guacamole eyes right now or whatever.
Guacamole eyes.
I was in charge, and William's fired for putting no more Lindsay Lohan stuff.
No
William.
more Lindsay. Let's put a stop to that. Local news: Hamilton County man has fungal meningitis. Remember we talked about the tainted injection stuff? Now we have a Hamilton County Department of Health that says that there's a 65-year-old man in the hospital, but has an underlying condition that could exacerbate the meningitis. That's just scary stuff. Been a fund created to help cover the cost for a 3-year-old. Donations are being made, according to Fox 19, at any Fifth Third Bank to cover the funeral expenses of a 3-year-old, Rodriguez Taylor, who was hit by a car as he and his family walked along a Westwood sidewalk on Monday morning. Very sad story.
Right. Yeah,
very sad.
That story.
Owen County woman tried to kill her father, 35-year-old Heather Hammond, arrested by the Kentucky State Troopers after pointed a loaded gun at her father. The Owen County sheriff said she tried to shoot him, but the gun jammed. Mercy. Federal court upholds Ohio voting protocol. The 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said that the ballots cast in the right polling location, but the wrong precinct would, in fact, be counted. Ex-NKU president. Boy, did you see this? I saw the headline, and I looked at the story in a little more detail. Ex-NKU president to rake in the cash in the fall of 2013. And believe me, folks, he has done a great job, so I'm not begrudging him that at all, but I was a little surprised. For teaching 2 doctoral-level courses, James Vatruba will make $287,000 a year. For those of you who are counting, that is 85% of the salary he made as the university's president, and this is what surprised me, 100,000 more than the ex-president of the University of Kentucky, Lee Todd. Wow. Indiana man wanted for child neglect. 21-year-old Tyler Wolpert was charged with neglect of a dependent, resulting in serious bodily injury and battery of a child under 14 for striking a 2-year-old he was responsible for. Come on. Step up. Cincinnati is in the top 10 best places for working moms. Denise, I'm going to ask you about what you think about this. Forbes is reporting that Cincinnati is the 4th best city in the United States for working moms. Columbus, Ohio topped the list, scoring high ratings for its higher-than-average salaries for women. Have you found that to be the case, Denise?
No.
That's what I thought you would say.
No, that is not what I have found, so yeah.
I thought you might say that. Cincinnati premium outlets have been robbed. WKRC is reporting the police say a professional group of women, look at this, walked into the Saks 55th Avenue Wednesday evening, stole over $1,000 worth of perfume, colognes, and walked out within 5 minutes. They had a plan and
they actually showed, I saw that this morning on the news, and they had big bags, and they were shoving perfume into their big bags, yeah.
How about traffic?
You know what? Just
good still?
It's really, it's pretty typical. You're slow in the same spots, still dealing with the same closure at Madison. That's between Lavinia and Bedford. Hopefully that'll be, maybe cleared up here soon. That was due to a fatal accident this morning. Also, Neeb at Muddy Creek, and that was due to a deer. It's that time of year. Deer are really active out feeding, especially, early morning hours. So definitely want to watch. When you see one, expect another one to come running right up behind you.
This is ClassX Radio, the Doobie Brothers, China Grove.
For ClassX Radio, the new breed of rock.
88.9 WMWX, Miamitown. 89.1 WKCX, Crittenden. 89.3 WYNS, Waynesville. ClassX, the new breed of rock.
ClassX Radio, this is Dr. Dan Francis. We are finishing up our 3-day excursion with the Bulldog being out of town, and we have had frolicking fun, deep thoughts, and yes, some utter stupidity. But we need some sports.
Sorry, Denise. Somebody told us we had to have Denise here.
We had to use that. I'm telling you.
That was rough, Denise. We've been going at it this morning. I'd just like to apologize.
Would you?
For all the bad things I've said to you.
But you've stayed in the room with us.
Sincere.
You really have.
I've stayed in the room.com with you.
I haven't let him offend me at all.
No, not at all.
All right.
Let's see, of the Of the 5 things: authenticity, boundaries, compassion, discernment, and
honesty.
enthusiasm.
Is honesty in there?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think that would fit under discernment. You're discerning just how honest you want to be.
I think
Yeah,
I
I know
was
what
just as
discernment.
rough on him, so it's okay.
It's
all good.
a mutually
Sorry,
satisfying.
Garrett, you know.
That's right, and the preaching comes in there.
You
We
know.
want to do a little sports here. NFL Titans top the Steelers. I don't believe there's anybody in the room that's sad about that today.
I kind of am.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I needed the Titans or the Steelers defense on my fantasy team.
So you are speaking from fantasy, not from heartthrob in terms of loving the Steelers.
Absolutely.
Okay. Titans top the Steelers. Rob Baronis kicked the 4th field goal of 40-yarder as time expired. Matt Hasselbeck threw a 5-yard TD pass to Kenny Britt with 4:19 left. Pittsburgh now 2-3, lost its 3rd straight road game this season. Chris Johnson, who you never know is he going to show up or not, ran for 91 yards on 19 carries. Hasselbeck finished with 290 yards.
That's about his best game of the season
It is.
so far, too.
It is.
Chris Johnson has just fallen off the earth.
Once he got the big contract.
Big contracts will do that to you. That's why running backs, those guys, their tenures in the NFL are so short-lived.
They
You
are.
got 3 or 4 years, if you're lucky, of a solid play in you
That's
before you just kind of fade out.
MLB scores, we know certainly about our Reds. Athletics lost to the Tigers, and the Tigers win the series. Nationals had a walk-off home run. Nationals win 2-1 over the Cards. Let's go Nationals today. And then the Orioles, 2-1 over the Yankees, tied series. So somebody's going to be winning some series today. Orioles top the Yanks. Let me give you some details about that for those of you who love to get into this. J.J. Hardy hit an RBI double in the 13th of forced Game 5. Hardy doubled off David Phelps with 1 out to score Manny Machado, who had doubled. Matt Wieters knocked Chamberlain out of the game with a broken bat single. And the fans were silent as Chamberlain bent over in pain. We know about that bending over in pain from our Cueto experience. The Yankees held a moment of silence for Joe Girardi's dad, Jerry, who died Saturday at 81, had a long bout with Alzheimer's, and then the Yankee put a runner on in every inning but failed to score until the 6th. Jeter, who's gotten obviously a lot of attention, lined an outside pitch to right field for a leadoff double in the 6th.
How about A-Rod?
A-Rod.
2 nights ago, they pinch hit for him with Raul Ibanez.
That's right.
Guy hits a home run to tie the game, and then another home run to win it, like 3 innings later, or whatever it was. And A-Rod was that's all they talked about yesterday was, well, A-Rod, but he handled it fine. I mean, he was like, yeah, and he even said, he's like, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have handled it like I did yesterday, but he was the first one out of the dugout to congratulate Ibanez and, threw his hands up in the air when he hit it out. So he was just as happy for the guy. He's like, 10 years ago, I don't know if I'd have had the same, he would have gone off and sulked because his ego and
he wouldn't have,
pride would have gotten in the way.
Yeah, I think he's grown up a lot, and why not grow up on the way to the bank? I mean, he's makes a ton of money.
Kidding.
University of Kentucky basketball, Michigan Prep standout James Young has announced his intention to play at University of Kentucky. He's ranked 5th on ESPN's top recruit list, and I know this is just unbelievable. His announcement gives Kentucky 3 of the top 5 recruits in the nation for 2013, with the Harrison twins already committed. That's just...
Now, I know you're a UK guy, so this probably isn't going to make sense to ask you.
Okay.
But would you, if you were one of the top recruits in the country, would you go there?
I would go there if I was a one-and-done guy. If I was a one-and-done guy, I really wanted to go 1 year and make my way into the NBA, I probably would go there. And the reason is this. Calipari has his track record for sending people to the pros is unbelievable. And I think the NBA and the college NCAA, they're going to have to come to some agreement about, do you keep these kids longer, or just let them go straight and, straight on into the one of the two, because it's going to get cutthroat out there. But Calipari has said openly he'd love to keep his players and play under that system where they would stay. But if I was a coach trying to coach against him right now, he's got it going in terms of getting the recruits there.
I'd go somewhere in Miami.
Oh, now that's true. Now I will
Southern
say that.
Cal
right.
or something. Somewhere nice and warm. Take a nice Get some benefits from some of the donors, some of the school boosters.
I'm sure they don't do that, but I mean, that's a good idea for you to think that.
I'd like
what kind of car?
Just
if you could get
around.
one car, what would it be? No, you got one out there?
One car.
Is there one?
Yeah, like something small and fat, like a Bugatti.
Mm-hmm. My son,
cool-looking cars.
His company, and obviously he's the CEO of his company, so he gave each of his partners a certain amount of money, and he says, go do something that you never do, and then come back and write a blog on it for our company and all that kind of stuff. He road raced a Lamborghini in California, Napa Valley.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And he showed the pictures, and I'm telling you, it was sick. I mean, it was unbelievable. And you have a professional driver with you,
right?
And there's three of you. You're in this group, and they have this place out in Napa Valley, and it is the pictures were just too cool.
I bet.
Which leads to the other piece of news: Dale Earnhardt, he will miss the next 2 weeks of racing, ending his shot at the Sprint Cup after he was determined medically unsafe for racing after suffering 2 concussions in the last 6 weeks. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You think NASCAR's a sport, Dan?
Not for me.
I've oft debated this with people. Right. I agree. It's not a sport.
No, not for me.
They're just sitting in the car. What do you think, Denise?
No, because I would think a sport is. I mean, it's more physical.
Well, they call it a sport. I mean, it's widely regarded as a sport.
I never watched it at all. Didn't have any connection to it until I moved to Nashville. In my 12 and a half years there, it's hot in Tennessee. They follow it a lot.
It all up.
They follow it a lot. Then it becomes when it becomes an Olympic sport, we will do that. How about traffic? How are we?
I'm really kind of looking at all the cameras. Even it's 8:15, so it's pretty early. And I mean, cutting the hill, everything is looking pretty good. We do have an accident on 75. Now this is 75 just north. Or wait a minute, just south right there of 275, and that traffic is slow in that area, but I'm not seeing it on the screen. It's saying it's blocking the right lane in the southbound direction. Northbound traffic actually is heavier if you're heading from right around Sharon up past 275, so I'm kind of wondering if it isn't posted on the wrong direction, but they are saying southbound 75, just south of 275, so watch for that. In the 71 looks good. 75 even looks good. It's just a little slow right around Mitchell. You got the sun in your eyes, but there again, another nice day, so we'll take that. The cut in the hill even looking good, 471. So even 275's cleared out. So it's pretty easy. It's a Friday. I'm telling you. I think people are working 4-day work weeks. So I'm gonna keep track of this. I'm keeping tabs.
I think we're gonna have a good, nice weather weekend. Did you see something?
It's a great traffic report.
No. I do have two more that just popped up. West North Bend at Simpson and Vine at Goodman.
We haven't had any cold rain?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no.
I'm
not
impressed.
for a while. I know.
It's good to go.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, this is ClassX Radio. Eric Clapton, Cocaine.
Music Shop is a longtime ClassX sponsor.
Around here, you never know what's next.
Excellent.
But you know it'll rock. The new 88.9 and 89.1 FM. ClassX and ClassXRadio.com.
ClassX Radio, this is Dr. Dan Francis filling in for the Bulldog. We heard from William, the editor of our newsletter, and there's
he
a
got fired. Let's see what he's got here.
Pending firing. Sadly, he said Lindsay Lohan, who was once one of the nation's brightest stars, has turned into our second biggest train wreck, parentheses, second to Obama. Unless she dies or kills someone, Lohan is banned from Bulldog Nation pending approval of the big dog, who I am sure is in his first yoga class of the day right now. William, your newsletter helper, bad joke guy, and NASCAR is a sport, he says.
I was going to say, is support.
I didn't even know the hit he just gave me there because he said, you're a bad joke guy, because I've kind of hit on the jokes this week.
All right, you know what, William?
We're sorry.
You're rehired as long as you keep Lohan out of the news.
Yep.
But let me tell you something, pal. NASCAR is not a sport. All you hillbillies out there think that just because they're in a 150-degree car for 3 hours doing left-hand turns in circles, think that takes some sort of physical ability. I could sit out there in that car and shift it around a few times and finish a race. I would probably finish dead last, but I would finish the race. Well, I couldn't. If I played Major League Baseball, I couldn't come close to touching a pitch. If I played basketball, I wouldn't even come close to getting a shot off. And if I played football, I'd break my neck in the first 3 seconds of the game. Here's my theory on what constitutes a sport. Let me see if you agree on this, Dan, Denise, traffic lady.
Mm-hmm.
If steroids, think about this for a second, if steroids make you better at it, then it's a sport.
Well, you have to be an athlete. Now, a guy driving a car wouldn't consider an athlete, right?
Exactly. Steroids don't help NASCAR drivers.
Well, I'm just saying, period. A person behind the wheel of a car driving a race car wouldn't be considered an athlete. So how can you consider it a sport?
I agree.
They would say, if they were here, they would say because
but it's
of
hot
the
in there.
Coordination and eye-hand coordination and all that.
I would love to do it.
And the fact that it's dangerous. That's what they would say.
Well,
but
I would love to do it.
The danger has nothing to do with it.
Robbing a bank is dangerous.
It's not a sport.
I just think
Robbing
it comes
banks
the
down to
athletic nature of it, and I would agree with that.
That would be basically.
Yep.
I mean, it's how is it a sport because they're not necessarily an athlete. Now, like I said, I love watching car racing. My dad actually used to go to. I used to go to the drag races with my dad. I like to drive.
Where
fast.
Thornhill? That was before your time.
No, it was like
Up
River.
in Ohio?
Yeah, it's in Ohio, but it was out. I don't know.
Yep. Drag queen.
Dumb a drag queen.
Have a drag queen.
That would be me. There you go. That's my Halloween costume.
All right.
Oh wait, you should go as that, Garrett. Drag queen.
No thanks.
I don't think so.
Because it wouldn't work for me. I couldn't do it.
If you've been listening this week, you know of my uncertainty about Dusty. John Fay, writer for the Inquirer, says, instead of preparing for the National League Championship Series, the Reds will sit down today and begin to prepare for 213. Quote, we're going to sit down and talk some things, kind of wrap up this year and talk about next year. Reds general manager Walt Jocarty. The first order of business is Reds manager Dusty Baker's status. His contract is up. Jocarty said he expects Baker to be back along with all the coaches whose contracts are up as well. It was a very good season, great regular season, a good quick start to the postseason. We just weren't able to close it out. It gives us more to build on. This team is talented enough and young enough to be in the hunt for a number of years. We'll be back. Baker, with the sting of the the National League Division Series, was vague on his future. I'm not sure where my career is going here in Cincinnati. We're going to talk about that in the next couple of days, but I'm not through managing. I have more to do. But does he expect to be back? I don't know, man. Right now, I'm kind of numb in this situation. Earlier, we were talking in the studio, and I gave the record. I think he's been in the playoffs 4 or 5 times, and every time his team has been ahead at some point, but they've never won this year, that particular playoff series. So I think if you've heard this week, you know I'm not a big Dusty fan. I think he's a great guy, but I just don't think he's a very proactive in the game person, too laid back, too much of a player's manager for me. The fact that the team can't bunt, it bothers me. It just really, really bothers me. It does some of the basics, like, what was it, 2 games ago, or was it yesterday? I forget, but I think it was 2 games ago. Stubbs is up. The guy's already walked one guy. He throws Drew 2 balls, and Drew swings at the next pitch. I would just simply tell you, I would not have a player that that would do that. First of all, I'd give him a signal to take, or secondly, give him enough common sense that you can't do that. You've got to be on base here.
Right, especially when you're Stubbs. You got to have the ability to say to yourself, look, I suck as a player. I should take this pitch since this guy's just thrown 6 straight balls.
Exactly.
But he doesn't realize that he's terrible.
That's right.
Yeah, the faster their minor leagues are just so depleted. I mean, what we've got now is the best we're going to have for a long time. So as long as they can keep this group of guys together, because they've got nothing coming up. They traded it all away for Latos, which you can't blame them for that move. It worked out.
Right.
I mean, it really did end up working out. But they don't have anything coming up.
They don't.
So, and I think they know they need a Drew Stubbs replacement. I think your 2 big glaring issues. Well, actually, you've really got, I think, center field,
right?
Which it'll still be Stubbs next year, apparently. Unfortunately, and in left field, I don't know that Ludwig. I don't know if he's around another year or not. and then closer.
They have an option on him. The Reds and Ludwig have a mutual option at $5 million.
I bet they picked that up.
I do too.
I mean,
I do
with
too.
as well as Ludwig played this year.
He says, Jocketty wasn't ready to discuss it yet. He said, I thoroughly enjoyed it, Ludwig said. I am going to go home and spend time with my 3-year-old. I told him we would wrestle no matter what happened today. And then, of course, the whole Roland issue. I've got to believe that he's going to retire.
Yeah, I would think.
I hated that his final image will be that he struck out, and walked off the
True.
field.
That could have been his final at bat ever. Yeah, that's a legend. I think he's. Oh. I hope he gets into the Hall of Fame. The guy just seems like a class act.
A to Z, class act. And I'll never forget an image of him holding Chris Carpenter and keeping him off him during the Cueto fiasco thing. He had him in a manhole.
Yep.
And basically it was saying, nope, you're not going to do that. I don't care how big you are. You're not going there. Of course, they were teammates for years together.
Right.
So they certainly knew each other.
Was just an awesome teammate and a leader on that team. It's not the production. It could kind of be a good thing too, because you'll get Todd Frazier in there playing every day, and you hope Frazier can continue that. But other than that, you're really set everywhere.
You really are.
Catcher is a little bit in question. You get Hannigan back. And then, geez, Mesoraco, I would assume
he tailed off. Yep, he really tailed off after the concussion, and he was thrown out, and people wonder why. Maybe the concussion really kind of caused him to kind of.
That'll be interesting to see what happens with Mesoraco.
It will. All right, traffic. Anything going on with traffic?
Well, we're still dealing just pretty much with the same couple of accidents anyway. Vine Street at Goodman and West North Bend at Simpson, but the rest of traffic really is pretty light considering. So normally it would just start easing up about right now. Wait a minute, one just popped up on my map here. Fort Mitchell, well, that's a disabled tractor trailer. So that's on Bromley, Crescent Springs Road right there at high water. So that just popped up. So
thank you. This is ClassX Radio. ClassX Radio, Dr. Dan Francis with the gang here. Well, the Bulldog is out. We've talked about lots of things. We've got one more little segment here we want to do about the debate. USA Today gave us some exaggerations and some updates on the Libya. Ryan said President Obama took 2 weeks to acknowledge the September 11 attack on the Benghazi consulate was conducted by terrorists rather than protests. The facts. This is mostly false. White House spokesman Jay Carney said at the September 20 White House press briefing that the incident was a terrorist attack. The president himself, speaking at the David Letterman show the 18th, a week after the attack, said terrorists and extremists had attacked U.S. diplomatic installments in Libya and elsewhere using a controversial video. Security cuts. Biden said Ryan's budget called for a $300 million cut to security of the U.S. Embassy in Libya. Facts, Ryan's budget plan would have cut non-defense discretionary spending by 19% in 2014, according to the Hill newspaper. The blueprint doesn't specify cuts to embassy security, but the Obama campaign says the figure, if applied across the board, would result in $300 million decrease in funding for protection, construction, and maintenance. The Romney campaign disputed the claim, saying no specific cuts were recommended. We talked about the terrorism thing earlier, the Iraq claim. Biden says Romney wanted to leave 30,000 troops in Iraq beyond the end of the U.S.-Iraqi Status of Forces Agreement that expired at the end of 2011. Facts, Obama administration officials and the Iraqi prime minister negotiated for months that would have allowed a small residual force to remain in Iraq beyond 2011 under a new status of forces agreement. Negotiations, however, fell apart because the Maliki, the prime minister, believed that he would be unable to nudge the Iraqi parliament to agree to immunity for U.S. forces and American troops operating in Iraq. In other words, if you're not going to protect us while we're here, we're not going to stay here. One more, Iran claimed Biden said sanctions are damaging Iran's economy as oil exports drop 50% and its currency falls. The facts, this is mostly true. Iraq's exports fell from 2 million barrels a day in early 2012 to 1 million in July, though they recovered to 1 million by September, according to the Financial Times. So That's all that we're going to do on the debate issues. Two other stories that kind of stuck out to me as I was reading. Nurse practiced for 37 years without a license. I'm not making this up. South Carolina resident Denise Lawless was arrested on Wednesday for allegedly practicing as a nurse since 1985 without a license. Lawless worked as a nurse at AnMed Health and was a nursing instructor at Tri-County Technical College.
South Carolina let that happen?
How does that happen?
That is interesting.
Jeez.
I mean, as much as they do checks on so many people.
So many things. Jerry Sandusky, one other report came out yesterday. You can't. Can it get any worse? In letters written to the judge before sentencing, Sandusky and his wife Dottie claimed their adopted son was responsible for all of their legal troubles surrounding the molestation case. Sandusky claimed his arrest and trial were like a well-orchestrated athletic contest.
Yeah, and he said they did a great job. They won. It's incredible that the guy just he doesn't realize how stupid he looks for just denying it. Not that it matters. It's like, see you, man. It's like, wow, he just looks like one of those ignorant type of people. Just like real, like,
he misses
out there.
A filter. He's
exactly.
A filter, right?
So there's something missing.
Because you wouldn't be saying some of the kinds of things that he's saying if you didn't have...
Right, and his wife is backing him.
Well, I tell you, there's a sickness, and then there's a sickness that is confirmed by the person that you live with. And in this case, if you have one other person,
those
it makes
two
a majority.
Go hand in hand.
That's right. You want a majority? One other person to agree with you, and that's a majority.
Yeah. Well, this adopted son they're talking about wasn't going to testify, and then all of a sudden testified and claimed he was abused too.
As well, that's right.
Which is sickening.
It is sickening. Do we have a traffic report?
Well, there is an accident southbound 71 at Red Bank, and that traffic is just slow in that area, so just watch for that. Really, the traffic is much lighter this morning out there. I'm not really even seeing a whole lot of a problem on 71. There's an accident on Vina Goodman and Tusculum just north of Columbia. And, I just want to bring something up because I got a text, and I'm just kind of curious
Go
here.
ahead.
I got a text from someone. I don't even know who it is.
The guy that sent you his junk?
He didn't. It wasn't it was his body with his thumb just in the top of his jeans.
You don't know this person.
I don't. And I'm just wondering why. Why would somebody, I thought maybe it had something to do with the show or whatever. So why would they send that? And
because you're hot, Denise. He wants you to see him in all his glory.
Well, how do I know it's him? And first of all, why do I care?
Well, what does his body look like in the picture? Pretty good.
He had a six-pack. Yeah, he looked like, but that's not the point. The point is why.
Why don't you call him up and go out on a date with him?
Well, let me
Sounds
speak
like
to
the
Dean, can I look to you for a little
I think
bit
it's
more
a great
reasoning?
pickup attempt by this guy. I don't see the problem with it.
So do you do that often?
All the time. I've got stock photos of not myself,
I was
other
just going to
people,
say, are they of you?
that I send off.
Okay. All right.
Falsely
that answers the
to
question,
random
then.
numbers.
Well, let me take a little bit different angle on that.
Okay.
And that would be that we just talked about filters. Everybody has filters. And then, go back to my stay in the room and how I lay that out. The second issue there is boundaries. Most everybody that's dealing with a relationship situation that's not going well, there's something in the boundary issue. This gentleman doesn't even have a relationship, and he's already violated the boundary.
I was going to say, he doesn't have any boundaries either.
He has no boundaries. So we got a problem there. But folks, whatever line you use, let's work on those. They could be a little better than that. This is ClassX Radio.
Keep rocking with the station that supports local music, ClassX Radio.
ClassX Radio, Dr. Dan Francis, and the gang here at ClassX Radio filling in for the Bulldog. I think we've had quite a week.
I just want to say you've done a wonderful job, Dan.
Well, I'll be paying all of you as you leave today. No, really, it's been a good week. You got to understand that I don't do this for a living. I do this for fun and with folks that really make it easy for all of you. It's a little bit, it's always facing your fear when you say do a half hour, do an hour, but to do 3 hours, it's a big deal. But we have had so much fun. Denise, I wrote down, as I think about you, what I learned about you is you're a classy lady, and you take a lot from the gang that's in here.
And out there.
Oh, man. You're a classy lady. Garrett, I don't know anybody that's more honest than you, funny to a absolute hoot, a guy that anybody would want to hang out with. Mike, Vietnam vet, I'm telling you what, if you're going to go in a foxhole, this is the guy I'd like to go in a foxhole with him. And then Jake, quiet, deep water. Every time we've talked about stuff. Okay, your deep water is you think I'm being selective there? You don't think Jake's got deep water there, Garrett?
I don't know what that means.
Deep water means he thinks deeply.
Oh, yeah, he's a deep thinker.
Deep thinker.
I was going to say, he must be deep in thought most of the time because he's pretty quiet.
He is. He's over there deep in thought, and all of a sudden he comes out with something, and just gets it done. It's been a fun week. I hope the listeners have enjoyed it. Eric's going to be back in full force next week, so thanks for being with us. This is ClassX Radio. Every dog has its day, and today you go have yours. Thanks for being with us.